Hi there everyone, it's Jenny here again. Um, Welcome back to the channel. This is very late. I don't even know if it's still Friday. I had every intention of doing this video much earlier today so that I would get it up before midnight and actually on the channel before midnight, but I've not had a great day. I've had look, I don't want to bring the channel down or anything, but I've had a really bad mental day today, so I'm not going to go talking about it. No one needs to hear it. No, and it's not necessary. Anyway, I've had a really bad day, and so I've really not done much of anything at all apart from put my 2 Etsy shops on a 20% off sale. That's the only work I have done all day. That's it. 2 minutes work. But I thought, no, finally I feel like I can come into the studio and actually do something. So anyway, like I said, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, thank you for coming and checking out my video. I have got I've got some paints here on the table I'm using. I've got Liquitex here, but I might stop the video and swap them out for some Joe Sonia, because this is not an original piece for sale, so I will use student grade acrylic. I've got a variety of brushes. I don't know if I'll use I've already used this one because I use that for the gesso. I'm not really sure. What's on the table is what was from my last project, which I've had to put on hold. I'm waiting for supplies to be delivered. So I'm going to use though probably spatula thingies. Oh, I've got a mental block. It's been shocking shit full day. You've got to laugh at yourself, really. And I do have a wide flat brush, which is not in great condition, but I can still use it. That's about that wide, and I'll probably use that at some point. I've got one of these for the stencils that you can see. This is what I usually use when I'm stenciling. I have got this is a really fine round brush, but I'll grab another couple of brushes and I'll show you those as I'm going. I have also got some Faber-Castell markers, which I may use. And I have got some very cheap, this is a copper, and it's got a really good coppery effect to it. It's quite transparent, and it is only very cheap, but it is really good for just working in your journals. So I really like that. So I'm going to use that probably. I've also got some Finnabar paste, which I've got out for my other project, but it's still on the table, so you never know. I might use it. I haven't used it very much, but I'm going to give it possibly a go. I don't know. I may not. I also have some gelatos. If you don't know what gelatos are, they're a very buttery, soft, crayon-like thing. These are just awesome. Faber-Castell make these, so I'm sure if you're not new to the mixed media scene, you'll know what these are. But if you are new, some gelatos are awesome. I do have other crayons. I've got Neo 2s and that, but I won't use them for this project. I keep those for projects that I'm planning on selling the originals for, because they're a good quality. I don't tend to use anything overly great quality in my journals. So long as the pigment is all right, I'm not worried about it not being archival, because I'm not selling the original. It's in my journal, or this is an art pad. So yeah, I have got oh, here's another brush. It's a flat brush. I'll probably end up using that. I have got some markers which I may use, and I have got some Copic. I've got Copic skin tone markers, so I may use those if I'm having a bit of trouble with my paint, which I shouldn't do. You know, skin tone, I'll just do a basic skin tone. I'm using Liquitex Matte Medium, and I've also got Mod Podge. I've got my 2 jars of water here. I have a spray bottle which I may use, and I've already used my gesso. I did that before and waited for the page to dry. I don't need to put that on film. So yeah, and I'll stick that aside for a minute. And I've also got a series of stencils here. I really like, I don't know if you can see these very well. Actually, I'll just put them on the paper like that. So I've got that one. I really like that. It's a bit drippy and I kind of like it. I've got this one which is a mixture, but I'm only going to use what's in this corner and this corner. So I was thinking, I haven't used these much at all, so I would really like to use the feathers, but I will probably only use this little one and this one here. I'm not really sure whether I'll use a big one. I really love it, but I don't know if I'll use it. Depends on the space that I've got. So I'm just going to pop those aside. I've got some music sheets and some scrapbooking paper, and the book I'm using, and I've got the music sheet I've already said. And the journal I'm working in today is one that I have only done. I've only done one thing in it, and even that I didn't finish. I actually started it while I was on a holiday, and it was really not a very good piece, so I ended up not finishing it. But this is just a cheap journal, so if you're a bit economy conscious, I'm just using one of these really cheap Derwent Academy visual art diaries that you can get in most, you know, it's a ring bound one. You can get it in most like stationery stores, maybe even some newsagents would have them. Probably some art shops would have them. I find the paper, it's all right, just for this kind of work, so long as you put some gesso on it just to toughen up the page. And if part way through I think the page needs it, I might glue it to the next page, but we'll see. It may not need it. Oh no, there's a oh, that's not very good. There's a cat with all flowers on. Okay. Yeah, so I have gessoed it and I made it bubble with the heat gun. I got too close for too long, but that's okay. Never mind, I don't mind a bit of texture coming through from under the paper. Not a problem. So I'm just going to work on that today. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the paper on, and I'm going to speed this bit up because I haven't torn all the pieces. So I'll start tearing it all, and then I'll probably, when I'm editing, I'll chop most of it out because you don't need to see me tearing paper. But yeah, and I'm going to stop talking pretty much now, because I'm going to attempt doing a voiceover. So I hope that this video does work, because I've never done a voiceover before. I don't know how to go about doing the editing for that, so I have to teach myself. But I will tell you now that when I'm tearing the paper, I'm not being overly fussy with it. I'm just tearing it into pieces, approximately palm size, maybe a couple of bits smaller, but yeah, usually around palm size. And I'm not worried about the shape or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and I'll be back soon.
So when I'm putting the paper on, I try not to put the same paper too close to each other. Try and spread it all around, like all the patterns, colours, whatever, spread them around so that there's some distance between them, and the more the paper gets, the page gets filled in, the harder that gets, but you know, just go with it. And I am fairly liberal with the Liquitex, just to make sure that it is all stuck down, and you know, try to get all the bubbles out and everything. So as you can see, I did swap out for Jo Sonia. I didn't end up using all of those colours, so I had no idea really what I was going to do with this painting. This was really a de-stress thing. I didn't want to have to think about it. I didn't want to have to stress over it. This was just really for me to try and stop overthinking. You know, I'm doing a lot of that lately, and I just needed to chill out for a bit. So none of this is planned. Usually when I'm doing these, I don't really plan too much. I just slap the paint on wherever. I prefer actually not to pre-plan. I just go in and do it, and I find that my paintings evolve like what I'm doing now, you'll find later on in the painting that it's, you know, you don't really get to see much of it anyway. My paintings evolve as they go. So it's probably one of the reasons why I don't like to plan, because, you know, if things do go wrong and I've got to make adjustments, I'm such a perfectionist. I try hard not to be, but, you know, if I've got to change things when I've got a vision in mind, I get really stressed out about things. And so it's best if I just go with it and just, you know, pick up the first paint tube and, you know, the first brush or brayer or whatever I'm using, and just go for it. So now for this, I'm not actually drawing it freehand on here. I actually, you'll see it in a minute, I got one of my very early, it's a colour pencil and graphite drawing that I did a long while back, and I'm actually redoing that, totally redoing it. And so what I've done is I've used some tracing paper and I've traced over the basic features of the subject, and I've cut that tracing paper out and I've glued it down, and now I'm just going over those lines, because once the glue dried they were all quite faint, and I knew that I would very much lose them coming up in the next couple of steps. So yeah, I'm just I'm using a China pencil. I do have a Stabilo All pencil somewhere, but I can't find it, and the China pencil is the same kind of pencil, you know, it reactivates with water. So that's what I'm using. I don't mind if it does reactivate a little bit. That's all good. So I'm just drawing in the basic outlines here. I was actually feeling quite excited about this piece, because that's the drawing that I did a long time ago, back in 2019. And it was actually one that I did about 3 months after my husband passed away. So and it was really 3 months after he passed, so you can imagine where this one's coming from. But and it's funny because it's a kind of similar circumstance. But anyway, what was I saying? I can't remember. Oh God, you know, it's like 10:47 p.m. at night here. So, and a lot of this painting I was doing very late at night. So I've done it over a few nights. It took me a while to do it, actually. So yeah, just putting, she's wearing a cape, so I'm just putting in the lines of her cape and trying to sort of indicate where folds would be and things like that. So yeah, I thought I'd put a moon up there, but we didn't end up with a moon. So this is how my paintings evolve. So I've got Jo Sonia's skin tone, and I'm going to do all her face, neck and hands, or hand, in the skin tone, and then I'll come in with I think it was burnt umber I had, and I also added some white to the burnt umber, and no, I didn't. I mixed up. That's right. Yeah, mixed. You'll see. I mixed up the skin tone. So this is just the basic. It's quite a light skin tone color. It's almost white. Yeah, it would probably do really well for a ghostly sort of painting. So yeah, you can see the China pencil has smeared a little bit, but that's all right. That's fine. So there is a process that I'm using for the mixed media. It's a process that I learnt from an artist that I follow on YouTube, and I'm also in her Facebook group. Her name's Karen Campbell. I can't say enough good things about her. She's just wonderful, and her process for doing a mixed media piece is foolproof. Here I am. What am I doing here? No, this is for the background. I'm making an olive green. It didn't come out too olive. Not this time round. The next time I mixed it up, it came out more of an olive green, but I'm using this on the background because her cape is purple, so the green is like a complementary sort of colour. And this is Payne's Grey that I'm putting on here. I love Payne's Grey. It's just such an awesome colour. I just love it. Goes on all my paintings. And I'm just taking off the excess just a little bit, just to mute it a bit. And yeah, see, I've mixed up like a medium sort of tone. Oh, so now what was that colour I put on first? This is skin tone. The other one must have been warm white. Oh, God, I'm not in the studio now, so I can't look at my tubes. Yeah, I think... yeah. So, yeah, and now I'm putting on the mid-tone here. And I'm trying to follow the shading that I've done on my initial painting or drawing, because I quite like the shading that I did on there. I was really proud of myself because when I did that, it was not long after I started doing art. So I was really proud of doing that drawing. I had so much trouble with her nose. Not as much as I had with her hands, though. You'll see that later. Yeah. So Karen Campbell, you can follow her on YouTube to find out her actual art process. If you go to Karen Campbell Artist, I think that's her channel name. Don't know offhand. I will make sure there's a link for it in the show more when I do this. description. And she's got a series of videos called the Hamburger series. You should go check it out. So, yeah, this hand drove me nuts because in the original picture, her hand's a bit manky anyway. The thumb is all wrong. I can actually do hands if I've got a really good reference, and this was not a good reference to be following. It was a terrible one. I will own up to that. That's fine. I tried really hard to fix it because her hand was like, it's a side view and the thumb is a little bit bent. Her hand is bent back at the actual wrist a little bit, and I had problems with one of her fingers because it's meant to be more of a side view, and I kept trying to turn it to a, like, looking at it face on, and that just didn't work, obviously, because that's not how it was meant to be. Excuse me. So,
Oh, what have I done? I've lost a finger. There's meant to be one here. Dum. Let's see if I can put it in. If not, I'm going to have to camouflage it somehow. So that's there.
It's hilarious listening back at myself.
Okay. I've botched it up. Bugger. Without fail. That's where I went wrong. Okay. Right. So the nail is here. I'm just going to, with this light colour, put the nail in. It should be here, like so. I think until I stand up the other way, I'm not going to know. Just put a bit more skin tone here. And down like so. Ugh. I usually do botch up a painting at some point. I actually
I was getting so frustrated with it.
That's not right either. Oh my God, what have I done? Oh, there's meant to be a finger here, right there. And this one is just not working because this one is not working. So I'm just going to pop this line back in here. I think that's how it's meant to be. So I'm going to go away and let this dry because I'm just making it more of a mess. And then I'll come back. And the good thing about acrylic paint is that you can paint over it and it kind of fixes itself, I hope. So I'll be back soon.
Yeah, so I came back to it, and off camera I put her nails in and kind of did fix it up a little bit better. I think once I put the nails, painted the nails, they sort of looked a little bit better, but yeah, no, her hand leaves a lot to be desired, so let's just not focus on that. The other thing I did, I lost some footage, so I also remixed that green, and it came out more olive green, which was good, and I've sponged that on in the background, and I've done some stenciling in the copper, and I did her lips, and I also started to use the gelatos, and then I decided no, it was too hard trying to get them to do what I wanted because the texture of the paper and the paint underneath, yeah, it just, they weren't working as good as what I would like them to be. So I decided not to finish using them. I've also added some highlights, if you will, to her cape, and some darker values in her cape as well, just to hopefully give it a little bit of volume. And I had also painted her sphere that she's holding. So that was all on the footage. And I also think I did the Celtic clasp for her cloak. I did that with Matisse metallic gold, which is an absolutely gorgeous paint. It's lovely. So if you're ever wanting a metallic gold that actually looks a bit gold, like, well, it actually does look like it, Matisse in the full body range, I can totally recommend it. So yeah, I'm kind of trying to work out what it is I need to be doing next. I've lost track of the process. Trying to decide which section I should go on to, whether I should go on to the Mod Podge stage or not. Once I do the Mod Podge, I can't go back. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to be doing here. I mean, if I do the Mod Podge, I can still put acrylic paint over, but I can't really use anything that's more water based. It doesn't go as well with the Mod Podge. It works better with the matte medium, the Liquitex matte medium. So once this goes on, now that's it. So now I'm going to try out the Copic markers, and that one's Faber-Castell that you can see on the screen now. I really like my Faber-Castell markers. The good thing about those is that you put them on and you can move them around with just your fingertip. And if you make a bit of a mistake, you can just use a wet ones and wipe it off. Yeah, you only get a few seconds, but yeah, you can just sort of smudge it around and, create this amazing look with these Faber-Castell, the Pitt pens. Yeah, so I really liked using those. Just to put some different colour into a face, not just all like your standard skin tone colouring. Because like when I'm doing a watercolour, I'll use coloured pencils, and I usually, introduce other colours into the skin as well. So this is the Copic, and the Copic markers, I wasn't happy with them, so I didn't end up using them for the rest of her face. I just tried it on the neck there, and it was no good. So yeah, back to the Pitt pens. Trying to fix up her nose there. See, I made a mistake, so I'm going to use the wet ones here. It just wipes it away. It's like magic. So for like junk journals, if I did a painting like this in one of my art journals, I could scan it and print it off and use it for like a repurposed book cover, and make a cover for it, or I can use it as a page inside the art journal. So you could do any kind of painting to match a theme for a journal that you're doing. Like if you're doing a bee journal, you can do a mixed media piece on bees, and, you know, put that in your journal. Or you could do one, if you're doing a springtime one, you could do a page full of all different spring flowers. Anything like that, anything that, any kind of journal that you're doing, you can do paintings for them in your art journals and put them into your junk journals. Like just scanned and printed off. I wouldn't necessarily put in the originals, but, you know, each to their own, I guess. But for this one, I'm at this stage, it's just purely just for me to, there's no purpose for me doing this other than de-stressing and giving myself an opportunity to have some fun and not be thinking about the things that have been getting me down of late. You know, it's just, yeah, that was purely the purpose of doing this. So I'm using the Matisse gold again, and I'm putting in some rune symbols. I will make sure there's description of like the names and that in the show more, just for anyone who might be interested. But these runes are for clarity and peace, happiness. I know by the time I got to this point, it was really late. I had a couple of like going to bed in the middle of the night doing this particular painting. So and this, by the time I got to this point, I had had enough, actually. I just wanted it finished. Now I'm trying to put a misty effect across the bottom. Part of it is to cover up that thumb, and the mist just was not working. I've done smoke before with watercolor, and that's turned out quite cool, but I was not having any luck with the acrylic paint to get this sort of misty effect. I did end up smushing it around, and I squirted some water on it as well, and did a bit of finger painting just to spread it around a bit. And in the end, it didn't look too bad. It wasn't quite the effect that I wanted, but it worked. Right, so this is the last, pretty much almost the last part of this piece. Putting this stencil on around. I really love this stencil. And it's not on the video, but I did, when it was dry, I sprayed it with Helmar's Krylon spray adhesive, like a finishing spray, and that will it will help to the page not to stick to another painted page. So the Mod Podge, the pages, painted pages tend to stick together with the Mod Podge, but I've been told that the finishing spray does the trick. So although you don't see it, that's what I did use at the end.
Finally, I think I'm done. I'm going to call it finished. Okay. Yep, I'm going to call it finished. So I'm going to turn it around the other way so that it all fits. For anyone who doesn't know what the symbols are, they're runes. I'll leave the symbol names and a brief meaning for them in the show more description. So sorry if this is around the wrong way, but yeah. So this is I'm going to call it manifestation for clarity and peace. Okay. Yep, I'm calling it done. I'm not doing any more to it. Yeah. It's been an interesting piece. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Just not that long, but yeah, it's been a little while. And I had fun putting it together and remaking my own, doing my own drawing. I just didn't put her tears in, or the planets. The planets up there look a bit silly. So thank you for coming. If you've come this long and stayed this for the whole video, thank you so much. And I hope to see you back again soon. I'm not sure what's coming up next. I can't say that I'd surprise you because it'd be a surprise for me. Stay well, everyone, and happy and peaceful blessings. Bye for now.